So now let's proceed to conditional logical expression and selection control structures. So this topic is, this is the overview. So this is the content of the topic. First is we will talk about control structures. We already talked about this, conditions and logical expressions, the if statement, nested if statement, decision steps in algorithms, the if else statements, and a nested if else statement. So in the control structures, recall that we have three: the sequential, selection, and repetition. So I think we are already done with sequential. I already discussed the basics of sequentials. Katong mga statements naman na sila nga magsunod. No? Uh, just like katong pag-printf, pag-scanf, katong pag-perform ng operation, pag-declare, sequential to sila. And C is basically a sequential language. So, I think nag-grasp na ninyo ang concept sa sequential. Now, let's proceed sa selection. So, if statements, logical operations are used on selection control structure. So, basically, kaning selection is a control structure in which your code can decide or a program can decide what to do next depending on the condition given. Okay. So these are the conditions and logical expressions of C. So true is always equal to integer value 1. So sa ato pa, if true, equivalent na siya sa integer, integer ng 1. If false, it is, this is not 2, this is actually 0. Ako sa siyang i-edit ha. So this is 0. Okay. So false is equivalent to integer 0. So, mura ra gyapon ni sila o kaning mga integer values si true ug si false. So, thus, each conditional expression returns an integer 1 if true and an integer 0 if false. So, keep that in mind na every time na mag-condition mo, if true, is always equals to 1. If false, it is always equals to 0. Integer na sila. So, if for example, true plus false is equals to true. False plus false is equals to 0 because their value is treated as an integer naman. Okay. So, here is the common expressions. Amo ning mga expressions gid si C gamit sa ilang conditions. So, if you want to test if two numbers are equal or if two variables has the same content or value, kani nga symbol imong gamiton. Okay, double nga equal. So, this is read as is x is equals to y. If you want to check if the two values is not equal, so kani siya nga symbol inyong gamiton, exclamation point and an equal. So this means not equal and this means equal. Okay? And then we have the less than, no? If you want to test if x is less than y, and this one is greater than, which indicates if x is greater than y. This indicates x less than or equal to y. That is, if x is mas gamay or equivalent siya sa value ni y, and then x is greater than or equal to y. Okay? So, is kung kani inyong gamiton, and for example, x and y has the same value, false ni siya because less than naman siya or greater than naman siya. O maka nag-indicate og equal. So, if for example, x is equals to 5 and y is equals to 5, and if you wanna test using this one, just the less than, the answer for this is always false. But if kung less than or equal, no, maka-true ni siya since equal man si x ug si y if both of them are of the same value, 5. Okay? So, keep in mind ha, kung equal gani ang value tapos kani inyong gamiton, it is always false. Pero kung kani, napay chance mo true because appeal man sa condition ng equal. Okay? Also, conditional operations value can be also evaluated from left to right. So, example, if you are presented with this expression, x less than y less than z, it is just like saying, unahon ako sa x ug y pag-evaluate, and then once na-evaluate na ako sa x ug y, ako na din i-evaluate ang result ni x ug y kang z. So, pa left to right siya. Now, naapay mas higher precedence ani no once I introduce logical expressions later. But in this conditional expression, left to right yun na ang iyahang pagka-evaluate. Okay? So, here's an important note that you should consider, no? Now, consider this code. So, you have your main here, tapos naka x is equals to 1, y is equals to 2, and z is equals to 3. Now, I want to print if x is greater than y and y is greater than uh, um, isa lang ha. I think na-typo ko ano, no? So, this is x. This should be x, not z. So, x is greater than y and y is greater than z. X ni siya ha. Okay, murag. Asa akong murag katugon tingali ko ani nag. Okay, so this is x ni siya. X. Mm. Okay, so x na siya. Nasa-type ko og type ko be. So, this is to check if x is greater than y and y is greater than z. So, what do you think is the output of this program para sa inyo?
1, ma'am.
1. Okay. 1. Final na ng 1.
Yes.
Okay, so consider kani siya nga kani nga thought ha, true is equals to 1 and then false is equals to 0. Evaluated from left to right. So, if we solve this, no, ano yung iyang itsura. So, basically, the output is 0. Nganong 0 man? Now, x is equals to 1, y is equals to 2, and z is equals to 3. Nabali lagi ko diri ay. X, y, z. Nabali ko. Okay. X is greater than y is equals to z. So, nabali ako solution diri ah. Basin na sakto pa tong 1. Bali di ako solution diri. Okay, so x is xyz man to kaganina, no? So, this is xyz. So, x, diri ade ang x. Diri ang x. Diri ang z. Okay, so x, diri ang z. So, xyz. So, x is, pila value ni x? X is 1. And y is 2. Z is 3. Sakto ba? X, y, ug z. Yes. So, is 1 greater than 2? It is false. So, is 1 greater than 2 is false. So, z is 3. So, this is 3. Okay. So, yung ano yung solution? Ato siyang i-substitute ng mga variables sa ilang actual na value. So, x is equals to 1, y is equals to 2, z is equals to 3. As you can see, 1 is greater than 2. This is false. Di man gyud na tinuod. So this is 0. Now z is 3. Okay? Z is also an integer. So pwede na gyapon nato na siya i-evaluate sa greater than. So is 0 greater than 3? It is false. So the answer is 0. So ingana na siya. In this solution, atog yung tanawon ang mga values sa ato ang variable. Do kung tanawon nato no, this is sakto man pud siya, di ba? So x is not greater than y and y is not greater than z. Kay x is equals to 1, y is equals to 2, and z is equals to 3 man. Na kung ato ni siyang balihon, itong balihon ha, example lang. If, for example, z, unya x diha. So, in this case, dapat 1 ang answer ani, di ba? Kay z is equals to 3 man, tapos y is equals to 2, nya x is equals to 1. So, in the sense, sakto siya kay mas dako man si x kang y, nya mas dako man si y kang z. So, kung ato na siyang ibali, no? So, this is 3, and this is 1. So, this is still 1 na ni siya because 3 is greater than 2 man, di ba? And then, this is 1. Now, kung tanawon nato, this is also false gihapon. Di ba? Because 1 is not greater than 1. Di man sila, equal man sila. So, in this condition, false gihapon. Do ang sense niya diri kung atong tanawon is true man na siya. Pero pag ato siyang isolve no mano-mano, makita nato ang solution nga ang answer niya is false. So diri na ta makakita og ambiguity when it comes to using in ani nga mga statements wherein we are using mga three or more variables nga walay parenthesis or walay kanang separation bar inyo na siyang gidaritso og gamitan og conditions. So makakita na mo dira og na something wrong sa inyong result. So if ing ana inyo gid na siyang tanawon no non gyud ninyo og inyong i-evaluate inyo mas maayo og inyo gyud siyang i-solve no ug sakto ba gyud kaha ang mogawas nga result. So in this case kung kani inyong tanawon sure na gyud mo nga true naman jud ni. But here kung ato siyang i-solve as we can see false ang mogawas. Okay? So kaganina pod katong kaganina na akong example also false pud to. Do murag true siya tanawon but the solution is not the same as what we thought. So in that case, if for example mag-need jud mo compare sa tulo ka variable no, there is another way on doing that. It is by using logical operators. So kaning logical operators mo connect ni sila og conditions sila ang bali o mo connect sila muhatag sila og opportunity wherein makahimo mo og multiple conditions makabutang mo multiple conditions in one statement no ug maka-give pud siya og one nga isa ra ka result. So these are the three basic logical operators in C: the and, the or, and the not. So si and is double duha ka ingani, duha ka and, duha ka ampersand ba na siya. Tapos si or is duha ka kaning bar, and then si not is an exclamation point. Okay? So how to use them? Una ta kang and operator. So si and operator ingani ang iyahang truth table no. Okay, so ingani ang iyahang operator no. Si and operator. If pararanig hapon sa inyong sa logic, no? Katong naka si SC102 na diya itong nahuman na. Kung true and true, the result will be true. True and false, the result is false. False and true, the result is false. False and false, the result is false. So basically, kung sa duha ka operator na miskin isa lang ka false, the result is all false. Okay? So dapat mo true ra siya if ang duha ka operator is true. Yung ana si AND operator. Okay? So the syntax is that we have conditions and use this one to connect the other conditions. And we use the AND symbol again to connect two or more operations until the end conditions there. So example, we have this one, a is equals to 12, and this is a condition connected with the next condition. And then, pwede sa daghan, no? So, this is a condition, and condition, tapos and condition. So, again, ang precedence ani is left to right. If you have three ends here, so kanisa iyang unahon. And then, after evaluating this one, kanina dayo. So, ang result ani, iyang unang kuha. Tapos, ang result ani, yading i-end na pod sa result ani. Okay? So, pwede ra sa di mo magbutang og parenthesis, but basically, mas lisod siya sabton. Lisod siya sa tanawon. Kaya medyo gubot if di mo magbutang og parenthesis kay di mo makakita og atong condition ug di maklaro ang inyong logical operator. Okay? So, ingana paggamit si AND operator. Next is si OR operator. So, si OR, basta lang kay na true, mo true na siya. Mo false ra siya if ang duha gid ka operand is false. So here kung makita na to, if true ug true, true. If true ug false since may true, true na siya. If false ug true since may true sa second operator, operand, true na siya. If false ang duha, false na siya. Okay? So keep in mind si OR basta lang kay na true sa duha ka condition ay duha ka operand mo true na siya. So the syntax is that you have condition and then use the OR symbol and then condition and so on and so forth. Okay, so pwede rin na you can add as many conditions as possible. Okay, so ingani siya paggamit gyapon. So if this one or this one, if A is equals to 12 or B is less than to 5. So you can also add more, no? Again, the same rin sila sa katong kaganina, left to right ang evaluation. So, unahon niya tanawan ang result. And then, a result din ani, compare na din niya diri. I-or din niya diri. Okay? You could also, you could also not put parentheses. So, depende na sa inyo ha. And lastly, the not operator. So the not operator is just to test if a condition is is the opposite, no? So kaning true, himuon niya ang result of false, tapos ang false, himuon niya ang result of true. So basically, mura niya og i-switch, no? Kung ang condition true, i-switch niya ang result into false. If ang condition is false, good, i-switch niya ang condition into true. So, for example, kani siya, no? If x equals to 12, if this is true, ang result sa entire statement ani kay man ginat is false. Okay? If pareha po na ni, if a is less than 12, if this is true, na if this is false, no? Assuming this is false, since ginat man niya, ang result ani niya is true. Pwede sad isa ra ka variable ang inyong i-test, no? If x is true or if x is 1, if it is not, himo niya na og 0 as false. Okay? So, in ana si not operator, we use the exclamation point before the conditions. Okay. So, here is the precedence of the logical operator. Una is the not. Unahon niya pag-evaluate si not, adversaries, and then next is the and then lastly is si or. Okay? So, kung makita siya una og not iyang una i-evaluate, sunod si and then si or. And basically, left to right, gihapon siya. If na ay parenthesis, parenthesis ang iyahang unahon. Okay? So, here is an example. So, assuming we have these variables, age is equals to 10, height is equals to 45, and we want to test this condition. If age is less than 12 and height is less than 48, or age is greater than 65 and height is greater than 72. So, saan na siya? So, here is the solution. Okay? So, una, itong i-substitute ng mga variables sa ilang value para mas dali ra na ito makita, no? Mas dali ra ma-evaluate. So, si age is equals to 10 and height is equals to 45. Okay? So, ato na siyang gi-substitute diri. Now, let's test. Let's find the solution. So, is 10, excuse me. So, is 10 less than 12? This is true. So, this is 1 here. Is 45 less than 48? Okay, this is true. So, this is 1. Okay, note ha, nga ang conditions kani, mo'y una i-evaluate. Adisir niya i-evaluate ang tibok end. Okay? So, dili siya ingon nga kani and tapos kana, tapos ang kani dayon diri atanan mo evaluate niya kang 48 dili. Unahon sa niya itong mga conditions. Adisir niya ang end. Okay? So, in this case, since this is true and this is true, the answer for this is and 1 or true is true. So, muna siyang 1 siya diri. Now, let's proceed sa second diri sa kaduha. Since nakakuha naman tag result diri, again, left to right man ta. So, diri. So, nahuman na ta sa left side, diri na po ta sa right side. So, we have 10 greater than 65 and 45 greater than 72. This is all false because 10 is not greater than 65 and 45 is clearly not greater than 72. So 0 or false and false is always false. So we have false as a final answer. And now, ato na dayon ni siyang or since naka-parenthesis man, as you can see, parenthesis ang duha. So sa ato pa kanisa iyang unahon ang mga naka-parenthesis. Adisir niya i-operate tong kani. If for example, wala ni naka-parenthesis no kani, ug kani wa sa naka-parenthesis left to right ni siya. So, ang mahitabo, ang result aning diri i-or niya sa kanilang duha. Okay? Kaya wala man naka-parenthesis. So, since naka-parenthesis man, so unahon ni niyang una ning naa sa sulod sa parenthesis. Okay. So, 1 or 0 is 1. Okay? Again, basta si or, basta lang kay na true, mo true na siya. Si false, pag na ay false, no, mo false na siya. Okay? So, muna siyang, ang result, aning example is true. Next example is this one. Now, let's find unsa gi answer ani. Okay. So, we have the year value equals to 2,000. Okay. And our condition is to find if year is modulo 4 is equals to 0 and year modulo 100 is not equals to 0 or year modulo 400 is equals to 0. Recall that modulo is a remainder. Okay? Its result is a remainder. Okay. So, year modulo 0, so atong gibuhat first of all is to substitute ang value ni year, no? Para mas dali siya na to ang exact na value ato makita. So we have 2,000 modulo 4 equals to 0 and 2,000 modulo 100 not equals to 0. 2,000 modulo 400 is equals to 0. Okay. So if 2,000 modulo 4, if we find the remainder of this, the answer is actually 0. Sa ato pa wala siya remainder. So the answer for this one, this operation here, is 0. Then ato man siyang gi-equal kang 0, ato man siyang gi-test if it is equals to 0. So here it is. So if 2,000 modulo 4, the answer of this is 0. Is it equal to 0? And kato na dayang the rest, no? So kanisa left to right sa ta, so kani atong una gi-evaluate. Next is this one. Okay, so 2,000 modulo 100, the remainder is still 0. So, muna siya ang answer. And then, left to right, so kanilang sa. Okay, so the result here is 1 because 0 is equals to 0 man. Okay, so 1 na ni siya dayon, di ba? The next one is, kani siya, it is 0. Kay 0 is not equals to 0 man daw. But 0 is equals to 0 man. Di ba? So, this is end. So, this is end man. So, ang answer ani niya is 0. Kaya na may false, no? No? One, true and false is always false. Kaya naman gid kay false na may kay false nakita. And then the logical operator is end. So, the final answer of that is false. Okay. Now, kanina po, si 2,000 modulo 400, if it is equals to 0. So, the answer is 0. Sa ato pa, wala ni siya remainder. And it is also true, no? Na 0 is equals to 0. So, the answer is 1. So, true. And since this is an OR statement, nakita matag 1. So, the answer is 1. So, sa ato pa, in this whole conditions, this all, kanikitanan condition, the answer for this is true. Okay? So, ing ana, no? Ing ana mo mag-solve og condition sa C. Okay, so the answer for number 1 is true, no? So, kung ato siyang manumanuhon og solve, 330 is greater than 22, greater than 330, less than 100, greater than 22, less than 330. So, kung ato na siyang i-solve, isa-isa, makita na to, diri sa pinaka-last zero is less than 333, which is true. So, the answer is true. Now, let's proceed to number 2. So, si number 2, nagamit na tag logical operator. That is, unahon na to left to right, no? So, 330. So, kani akong solution diri ako na siyang giisa ang kada parenthesis, no? Para dali na lang, dali, mubura ang solution. So, pero left to right din siya pag-evaluate. So, unahon sa niya 330 greater than 22. This is true. 330 equals to 100, which is false, but ato siyang ginat, okay? So, nahimo siyang true dire. Okay? And then, 222 less than 330, which is true. Again, ato ning ginat. So, may nahimo siyang false. So, left to right evaluation, 1 and 1 is equals to 1. And then, 0 lang diri So, the answer is 1. Okay? So, sakto yung mga answer kasagari. Now, let's proceed to number 3. 3 din ni siya. Wala na ko na change ni. So, medyo lisod ni siya, no? Kay medyo taas-taas. And then, as you can see, wala ni siya conditions. Again, conditions are just like integer manipulation from magyapon. So, kung ang result ani is integer, there will be no problem sa pagkuan og condition. Okay? So, ang technique na ko anis, ako personally, akong ginabuhat para di libog, unahon ako ning naka-parenthesis. So, as you can see, akong gi-underline na ni siya, green sa to pa kani akong unahon. So, kana sa akong unahon pagpangitaon sa ang result, so 330 greater than 22 and 330 modulo 22. If we solve this, 330 modulo 22, the answer is actually 0. So, kung ato na siyang i-end, the answer is 0. So, na natay answer ani nga condition dire. Now, kanina po, kaning kaduha. So, 330 is equals to 100. Is it less than 22? So, 330 equals 100. This is obviously false. So, is 22 greater than 0 is true. And then, so this is true, but we not manta. So, ang answer ani is false. So, again, this one is false. Okay? Now, dirita sa last. So, 330 modulo 100. So, we have remainder man ni siya. So, we have the 30 as remainder. Again, 30 is an integer, so there should be no problem with this. Okay? So, again, everything that is greater than 1, or everything that is greater than or equals to 1 is treated ni C as true. Okay? So, dili ra day 1 ang true. So, 2 can be considered as true, 3 as true, tanan basta greater than 1 is true. So, this one is 30 man. So, this is considered as true. Okay? And this one, 22 is less than 330, which is true. But again, ato siyang ginat. So, nahimo ni siya og false. So, nahimo siya 0. Now, 30 or 0, since this is both, this 30 is true. So, sa ato pa, this whole expression is true. So, nahimo ni siya 1 dire. But then, ato naman po siyang ginat. So, nahimo siya 0. So, the entire kanitanan condition is false. Okay, di ba? Sa kataas-taas, false ra dito.